Okay, if I had to buy a home tomorrow, there are a few things that I just would not compromise on, and interestingly enough, square footage is not one of them. Yo, what's up everybody? My name's Talon, your local realtor here in Northeast Arkansas, serving communities like Paragould, Brooklyn, Jonesboro, and surrounding communities. So if you need a realtor in Northeast Arkansas, all my details are down below. Holler at me and let's get connected. So look, every buyer, whenever they go to shop for a home, is gonna make some trade-offs. The goal when shopping for a home is not to find the perfect home, but rather it's to figure out which compromises are okay to make and which ones will haunt you later. And here's the thing, if you compromise on the wrong things, you will be reminded of them nearly every single day. All right, so the number one factor that I consider when purchasing property and helping our clients is to nail down the location that you want to be in. You've heard it said before, you can remodel a kitchen, you can paint walls and finish basements later, but here's one thing you cannot do. You cannot pick up the house and move it to a better location because you didn't think it out properly in the beginning. When you're shopping for a home, you want to consider a couple variables like the commute to work and which school districts it's in and the noise that you might be hearing because it might be next to a busy highway or it might be down a gravel road that you don't want to drive down every single day. And not to mention the neighborhood feel, and perhaps you want to take a consideration in the future development. Like, I might have a really big backyard right now, but is there going to be someone building right behind me in 5 years? These are all factors to consider when picking the right location for your property. I think we've all kind of heard those horror stories of people buying a house and then 6 months later, some big box company comes in and starts putting houses right next to theirs, or perhaps they're putting a chicken farm right down the road because they didn't look at the zoning of the land right next to them whenever they bought this property. And it's always a big fear of mine to represent a buyer and 6 months later to get that type of phone call like, I hate the location, I want to move. We always want the homes that our clients buy to be a blessing for years to come and us never to have that conversation down the road. All right, so this next one is a little bit more in the financial advising role than it is real estate role, but I'm gonna go ahead and step in to my liberty here and tell you point number 2, which is getting a comfortable payment. Most people, whenever going to buy a house, they say, what do I qualify for? Very few people come to me and say, what's the most I can comfortably afford a month? Now, obviously, you start thinking about that when you start looking at numbers and start wondering, what can I budget for and what else could I sell or how could I get rid of my car to get a bigger house? The point is it's not always about how much you can buy. It's about what you can manage to buy but still live a comfortable life. You've still got lifestyle and vacations to go on, and then you've got a budget for emergencies and retirement, and then you've got kids going to college. But because you might have overbid and bought too big of a house or too expensive of a house, all of a sudden your lifestyle tends to decrease in quality. And here's the thing, guys, I never want my house payment to control my life. I know I'm not your financial advisor, I'm not your lender, but always consider before shopping for homes, yes, you might be able to afford that monthly payment, but will it be a comfortable enough payment for you to endure for the long haul? All right, so number 3 is the floor plan. Now, if you follow me on social media, and if you don't, go over there and follow me, but I just put a poll up on my social media a couple weeks ago, and I asked several of you guys, do you like open floor concepts or more traditional style homes? And the overwhelming amount of people that answered the question in a different way that I expected was crazy, and I'd like to hear your comments below. If you like an open concept, let me know, or more traditional. I'd love to hear your comments, or I'd love to hear your feedback in the comments section. Yes, you can knock down a wall, and you can open something up later on, but that can cost a lot of money. And so before you go and buy a house, make sure you know, do you prefer open concept or more traditional style houses? And so this makes a big difference whenever you start talking about the kitchen layout and the kitchen flow, rather. Can you walk straight into the kitchen from the living room, and the laundry room location in the house, the bedroom layout? Then you got entertaining options to consider. How does it feel when you're entertaining? Do you all feel like you're in different rooms? Do you like that, or would you rather it be one big open room? And don't forget about storage. I know a lot of people are going and looking at these new construction houses, and I'm not trying to hoot and holler on anybody, but there's a lot of new construction houses nowadays that just simply don't have a lot of storage. And so I see a lot of clients making moves to older homes simply because they have 3 times as much storage. Someone needs to explain that to me. I don't know how that's possible. Here's the point that you need to remember is most people focus on the finishes of the house, but the layout is something that you live with every day. Finishes can change and they'll go out to date, but the lifestyle you live within the walls is something that you will be reminded of quite frequently. All right, number 4 is the structural condition. Now, all my inspectors are about to give me a big thumbs up on this video and comment down below because we have seen too many real estate investors and people going and putting lipstick on a pig, as we say over here in Arkansas. Now, I'm not trying to dog on investors and everyone. Not everyone does things unethically and not everyone does stuff intentionally, but a lot of buyers nowadays, they will willingly buy a house that structurally is not in the best condition, but man, it has some of the nicest finishes and the best beautiful tile in the world. And I'm scratching my head thinking, yo, dude, do you not see the different levels in the walls or the floors that you're walking on? And my God, the moisture under the crawl space, like, again, thank God we have inspection periods for this type of stuff. But my point is don't fall in love with the fixtures, fall in love with the structural integrity of the house. Cosmetic stuff, look, that's easy fixes. You can repaint, put new fixtures on stuff, whatever. But you start talking about like the foundation and how the roof is and how the HVAC is and water intrusion. These things can become very complicated really quickly, and most first-time home buyers especially are not really trained to look at these types of things. That cute remodeled house might serve you well for the first 6 months, but then all of a sudden, because the plumbing was done by someone that certainly was not qualified to fix it, or perhaps it's on a bad foundation, next thing you know, your house starts to shift and move and you can't even open up a window before. And yeah, I've been there. It's bad. And you've heard this statement. I would rather buy a ugly house with good bones than a beautiful house hiding expensive problems. All right, number 5 is something that you're not really expecting me to say, but it's something you might want to pay attention to. As a realtor, the thing that I'm always thinking about in real estate is not necessarily what I want right now, but rather what is this going to serve me later on in life? So if I buy it now, chances are I'm probably going to get rid of it one day. Therefore, that leads me to point number 5, which is the resale potential. Now, I know you're looking for your forever home and you're going to stay there until you're 50 something years old and still live in it until you pass away. I know that's your plan, but statistically speaking, most people stay in a home between 5 and 7 years. And so keep that in mind when you go to purchase the next property, to not overpay for it, and make sure that this is a house that you will be able to resell, not just to escape from it, but rather actually make a profit from it. So many people miss this step whenever they're looking for their next home because they kind of start looking at what would serve them the best rather than what will serve me good now, but also something that someone else will want years from now. This is why buying in a desirable neighborhood is important. And then, of course, having a functional layout in the house serves you well, not just for yourself today, but for years to come to the next potential homeowner. You also want to be careful with over-improving. Some people think just because they put a $60,000 in-ground swimming pool in their home means that whenever one day they decide to sell the property, they can make tons of money on that swimming pool. But unfortunately, that's not always the case. And for most people, of course, there's these exceptions, but eventually the home that you buy will eventually be the home that you might sell. And so always, before pulling the trigger on a certain home here in Northeast Arkansas, make sure it's a home that you can sell and hopefully make some money from. Now, let me give you this little bonus. These are some things that I would compromise on if I were buying my house all over again. I would easily compromise the paint color and the flooring. I would even, overlook the ugly countertops for now and the bad landscaping. I know it doesn't have perfect stainless steel appliances, but guess what, guys? I can always add that on later on. And look, this is the statement that I live by. I would much rather change my house than change my lifestyle. All right, so look, as I wrap this video up, let me remind you that there is no perfect house. Even the new constructions and the $1 million houses out there in the world, there is no perfect house. And truth be told, every buyer compromises somewhere. Like I said at the beginning, the goal isn't to avoid compromise, it's making sure that you're compromising on the right things. So look, if you're starting your home search here in Northeast Arkansas and really just don't know where to begin, what to look for, or you want to just be led in the right direction, I'm going to leave a link to my website where you can actually schedule a call to talk to me privately and let me give some more insight on some of the mistakes that people have made in Northeast Arkansas time and time again and how to avoid them. So hopefully this video has added some value in your life. Again, let me know something in the comments that you learned, and certainly let me know if you do prefer open or traditional style homes. Otherwise, make sure to go follow me on social media, hit the subscribe button, leave a like, that way it helps for more videos like this, and we'll see you guys in the next video.